you hear me now? Everybody home? Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? Up the gain. There you go. I'm hitting the yellow lines. It looks like I'm talking right. Tell me if you hear me. Hooty hoo. Matt and William, fun guys. That's wrong, fun guy. You're welcome, Matt. Good morning, Acadiana. This is Ed Bowie. I am reading today from the Acadiana Morning Advocate as part of AOC Community Media's Reading for the Reading Impaired, or the visually impaired, or those of you who are otherwise occupied and don't want to read the paper. We bring you most of the local news, some horoscopes, obituaries, and things that you're not going to find in a more conventional news environment. Hope this is of value to you. If you'd like to participate in a voluntary news reading as soon as this coronavirus thing passes by, we'll be asking members of the community to come and join our already wonderful volunteer staff in helping us stay in touch with one another. Again, my name is Ed. I'm reading for the Morning Advocate. Today's Wednesday. It's March 25th here in Coronavirusville. I hope everybody's doing well and maintaining their sense of purpose, sense of calm, and contributing what they can to the betterment of the rest of us. I'm going to read the paper in somewhat out of order today because I'm not used to doing this, and so I'm just going to read it as it pops up on my screen. I hope you'll bear with me a little bit. First article written by Claire Taylor, who is our mainstay of information here in Acadiana. Good reporter. That's an editorial you're not supposed to hear from a newsreader. Some Lafayette Parish businesses are not complying with the coronavirus closure order. Imagine that. Some Lafayette Parish businesses are not complying with Governor John Bel Edwards' order that non-essential businesses had to close by 5 p.m. on Monday to help slow or stop the spread of the deadly coronavirus. We're having a little bit of a problem with non-essential businesses continuing to operate, Jamie Angel, Communications Director for Lafayette Consolidated Government, said during a press briefing on Tuesday. LCG, he said, received calls all day Tuesday reporting businesses remaining open that residents believed should be closed under the government's Sunday order. They're not non-essential businesses, Angel said. You're strongly encouraged to stop your operations right now and close to the public. LCG is not trying to force businesses to close, he said, but the only way the governor's statewide stay-at-home order will work is if people adhere to it. Non-essential businesses that continue to operate despite the closure order are putting employees in a bind, and they're reluctant to report to the business or to speak up to the boss for fears of reprisal, Angel said. Some of the reported problems were cleared up with a phone call, he said. Some cases refer to the city police department or fire marshal's office, which can cancel a permit for the business. The deadly coronavirus continues to spread through Acadia and throughout Louisiana, with 216 additional cases reported in the state on Tuesday and 12 additional deaths, bringing total fatalities to 46. That's more than double the number reported since Sunday. Confirmed coronaviruses in the state jumped from 1172 on Monday to 1388 on Tuesday. That's, do the math in my head, 116 up in one day. Lafayette Parish cases increased on Tuesday up to 12 from 9 on Monday. Louisiana reported its first COVID-19 case on March 9th, and its first death in Orleans Parish was on March 14th. Wednesday marks a week since the first 2 positive coronavirus tests were reported in Lafayette Parish, one of them identified by the advocate as Sean Wilson, Secretary of the Department of Treasury and Transportation and Development, who happens to live in Lafayette. He was not hospitalized. St. Martin Parish on Tuesday became one of 43 parishes in the state with at least one coronavirus case. Iberia Parish added a case on Tuesday, bringing it to 3. Acadiana and St. Mary parishes each added a case on Tuesday, bringing each to 2. St. Landry Parish remained at 3 cases, and Evangeline at 2. No cases have been reported in Vermilion or Jeff Davis parishes. The drive-through coronavirus center opened at the Cajun Dome on March 18th and continues to process about 100 people today. On Tuesday, that was yesterday, 134 people visited the site, Angel said. Of them, 91 were tested for the coronavirus. Overall, about 1,000 people have been processed at the Cajun Dome site in the past week, with about 538 tested for coronavirus. Anyone in Acadiana who thinks they should be tested for the virus should first call 311 or 534-TEST, that's 534-TEST, to be pre-screened. Some callers will be referred to the Cajun Dome for testing. Between Monday and Tuesday, Angel said, medical professions manning the 311 hotline handled 459 calls. Of those, 79 were referred to the Cajun Dome, 9 were referred to emergency rooms, 7 were advised to visit an urgent care facility, 29 were told to see their primary doctor, 2 were sent home for care, and 26 were given general information about the virus. For general information, call 211. And to remind you that, call 211 if you need a little general information. Cajun Dome screening will be open today from 8:30 to 10:30. Visitors must have a valid ID and insurance card if they have insurance. That was here again, written by Claire Taylor at the Morning Advocate. Again, my name is Ed. I'm reading from the Morning Advocate on March 25th. This is a public service from AOC Community Media. Our next article, Ken Stickney, writer, Lafayette Diocese closes its office, strengthens its directives to help flatten the coronavirus curve. Acadiana Catholics will encounter new restrictions as the Most Reverend Douglas Desatel, Bishop of Lafayette, aligns his diocese with initiatives to protect public health during the coronavirus pandemic. In a statement issued Monday afternoon, Desatel said the diocese central offices in Lafayette would be closed indefinitely and employees would be sent home to work remotely. The diocese, more than 120 churches will remain closed on Sunday, with the exception of the Blessed Sacrament will be discontinued in parishes. Some churches are offering adoration on their websites. individual churches that could stay open during the week at the discretion of the individual pastors. Funerals, graveside only, will continue to be restricted to 10 people. These steps are taken to prevent crowds from gathering and to help Catholics stay in step with several mandates on social distancing to prevent the spread of the virus. In Louisiana, coronavirus cases numbered 1174 and 34 deaths were recorded by noon on Monday. We know that's been updated. Blue Rolfe's diocesan spokesman said Eucharistic chapels are closed because many were small and kept people far apart. And keeping people far apart, at least 6 feet, was becoming problematic. The bishop wants the diocese to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, Ross said. Directives were revealed after Governor John Bell issued a stay-at-home order Sunday to Louisianans. Desautels said he wanted people in Acadiana to heed that order to flatten the curve or help keep down the rapid spread of the disease. Rolfe said Desautels urged Acadiana Catholics to keep in prayer all those who are in the front lines of the battle against COVID-19 and all of those who have been affected by it. Quote, as we face unprecedented public health I'm going to start that over, folks. Quote, as we face this unprecedented public health challenge, we may call on the intercession of Our Lady of Prompt Succor, St. Joseph, and Blessed Silos, the bishop said. Lord, we live in fear and uncertainty as we experience the coronavirus. Be our strength and our hope. Give healing to those affected and protection to all of us. We ask that you calm our fears and trust in you. We also ask the prayers of Our Lady of Prompt Succor, St. Joseph, and the Blessed Silos to strengthen us in a time of need. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. That was written by Ken Steckney, here again of the Advocate. Let's make a quick switch from coronavirus in the news to how it's affecting the UL Sports Department. Headline, Athletic Director Brian Maggart, University still assessing damages from the coronavirus cancellations. Written by Kevin Foote, prolific sports reporter here in Acadiana. UL Athletic Director Brian Maggart is aware of the many questions regarding his athletic department's revised short and long-term outlook because of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. But as many times as he's gone over them in his mind, he still doesn't have many answers yet. For one, the virus hasn't run its course, so assessing the total damage is impossible. Maggart and the rest of his department are adjusting to new norms just like the fans. Quote, we just keep asking everyone to stay patient with us as the university transitions to remote working and all the business functions being adjusted, Maggart said. It's certainly what we're dealing with right now. From an organizational standpoint, our entire staff is prepared to work remotely. Supervisors understand their charges and are going to work with each other on their units to continue to do the things necessary to allow us to move forward. One of the first orders of business is how to settle the score with baseball and softball season ticket holders. We're identifying those plans, Maggart said, and in the upcoming weeks we'll communicate those plans. Potential solutions to other Sun Belt schools include combinations of refunds, credits, and donations. UL is one of the few Sun Belt schools to have more than one revenue-generating summer sport canceled by the coronavirus. There's no doubt that we will realize a greater loss than most of our brethren within the conference, Maggart said, but that's the price of having successful programs, which I would take any day. Continuing with the quote, I think it's safe to say that we will take a hit with 2 spring sports as opposed to 1. While the numbers are going to impact the loss side greatly, Maggart said, he doesn't know how much yet. We're working on that as quickly as we can, he said. It's one of the handful of obstacles we're facing right now, and until we can fully and accurately communicate with our fan base. On the flip side, the savings total for not having to travel over those 3 months for the school figures to be as substantial as well. We will realize some level of savings for sure. Our business office is working diligently on those types of reports. As we go through the third quarter estimate of our budget for the fiscal year 2020, we'll be able to analyze those types of numbers and see where we land. Other issues all schools across the nation will be the execution of all spring sports athletes get an extra year of eligibility, especially as an undetermined number of seniors return. Quote again, for starters, I'm fully supportive of the extra year of competition being given back to student athletes, Maggart said. even though it'll be an extra impact on an apartment, we'll find a way to accommodate. But yes, I'm sure student athletes will accept the opportunity while others will decide not to for various reasons. Maggart said he will assess the status of the planned facilities upgrades, including the new baseball clubhouse, once the coronavirus is more controlled. Our focus now is on the health and well-being of our student athletes, coaches, and staff, Maggart said. As progress is made with mitigating the spread of the virus, where appropriate, we will re-engage fundraising efforts as they relate to our capital projects. Naturally, local companies that support the athletic department will first need to assess their losses in the future. It's tabled right now. It's certainly not put. If it's tabled right now, it's certainly not put to rest, Maggart said. While many of the issues are specific to UL, other coronavirus losses will be felt across the board, especially the loss of the NCAA basketball tournament. Certainly nobody in the country will take a hit from a revenue-producing standpoint from the loss of that tournament, Maggart said. I know the members as a whole are working together to devise strategies to hopefully help mitigate some of those losses. But at the end of the day, there will be revenue that's lost. Despite the expected losses, Maggart refuses to sound defeated by the pandemic's unexpected financial gain. It's too early to look at from a grim standpoint, but again, it's the things that we are at the forefront of our minds, Maggart said. There are a lot of small businesses as well as large businesses that are going to be impacted by this. We're still early on for this. The forecast looks to be a lengthy duration of times for us. Until we know for certain, we can't fold our cards and put our heads down. We've got to continue to plug forward and find ways to make things work. The end. That's here again, written by Kevin Foote from the Morning Advocate. We're just breezing through it here, folks. Here's one to make you nervous. Flu outbreak at the Lafayette Parish Jail sets the inmates on edge amid the coronavirus worries. This is written by Ben Myers and Kate Galliano. A flu outbreak at Lafayette Parish Correctional Center this month left inmates at least one woman's dorm fearing for their health and safety, according to interviews with 4 women housed in the 5D pod. The sheriff's office, which operates the jail, confirmed that flu cases were being treated at the jail, but declined to provide additional details, citing federal privacy law. The inmates who spoke with the advocate said common symptoms included diarrhea and vomiting, which, according to the World Health Organization, are not among the common symptoms of COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, which is sweeping the nation. The women also suffered fever, loss of appetite, and fatigue. No inmates have been tested for coronavirus, and there are no tests available on jail premises, the sheriff's office said. If inmates tested negative for flu after displaying coronavirus symptoms, they will be brought to a local hospital for testing and returned to the jail in isolation while awaiting results. Women in the 5D pod had been sneezing and coughing for weeks leading up to Thursday, March 12th. More than 10 women, representing half of the pod's housing capacity, then fell ill over the weekend, says 5D inmate Akila Sims, who spoke to the advocate several times by phone and emails conveyed through family members. We joked about it because we were watching the news a little bit, Sims said, referring to the sneezing and coughing. This was before the whole thing got so serious. Then, on Thursday, March 12th, Sims' cellmate came down with high fever and other symptoms. She was taken to see a nurse the following day and then ordered in a lockdown pad called Foxtrot, which is typically reserved for disciplinary action, Sims said. Sims and other inmates wondered what Sims' cellmate had done. That's where all the sick people are going, Sims recalled a deputy telling her. One of the 5D inmates, Kia Archangel, said she became sick with fever and chills on March 13th, that's a Friday, but was not taken to see a nurse until Sunday, the March 15th. A flu swab returned a positive result, and Archangel said she assumed she would be taken to Foxtrot, but the lockdown pod was full. Archangel said she was left in 5D with the others. These people really want to fight me in here, Archangel said. It was like it was my fault I didn't get moved. Scarcity of soap is complicating matters, the inmates say. Small bars are handed out every Friday, and those usually last only a day or two. Additional soap and other supplies are usually available twice weekly, purchased through the commissary services. But Sims said commissary services have been discontinued on March 10th, resulting in days-long periods without soap and other supplies. We don't have any soap or tissue in here. You have women with their cycles who don't have pads. If we want to give it to us, then let us order the damn soap. The sheriff's office reporting to written questions denied that there's been any disruptions to commissary services and said that access to hand sanitizer. I'm going to read that whole paragraph over, folks. Sorry. The sheriff's office, responding to written questions, denied that there had been any disruptions to the commissary services and said that access to hand sanitizer has increased in areas. The sheriff's office did not respond to a question as to whether inmates who tested positive for any illness had been left in the general population, instead provided its policy on infectious disease prevention. The policy states that inmates exposed to communicable diseases shall be managed in a way to attempt to identify the source of the exposure and implement preventative measures. Another 5D inmate, Teresa Futch, said her cellmate also tested positive for flu, but was not taken to isolation. Poor thing was in tears. She was hurting so bad, Futch said. She couldn't hardly get up. Yet another woman who tested positive for flu received care from fellow inmates in the absence of let's start that paragraph over. Yet another woman who tested positive for flu received care from fellow inmates in the absence of medical attention. And Sims, who was among those who was tending to the sick woman. That woman, who occupied a cell by herself, was so severely ill that she could not get out of bed to use the toilet, Sims said. Sims and others broke protocol by entering the cell to come to her aid, she said. We were forced to take care of her because she hadn't seen any medical attention and she was really sick, Sims said. She couldn't get up. She was throwing up and she had diarrhea. We really have to help her have the ability to even sit on the toilet because she's so weak. The flu outbreak comes amid dire warnings that jails and prisons are especially vulnerable to the coronavirus infection. New York City jail system, for example, has reported 38 known cases spread among inmates and employees, according to Gothamist, a news website. Visitations and non-essential movement within Lafayette Parish Correctional Center have ceased to prevent the introduction and spread of the virus within the jail. Anyone entering the jail is screened for COVID-19 symptoms, and sanitation in all areas has been done multiple times per day, the sheriff's office said. Lafayette Parish Sheriff Mark Garber said at a news conference Monday that he is working with the 15th District Judicial Public Defender's Office and District Attorney's Office, as well as judges, to reduce the prison inmate population. Sheriff's Office and other Acadiana law enforcement agencies have stopped booking offenders on most misdemeanor charges to limit the influx of new inmates to the jail. Any new inmate booked into Lafayette Parish Correctional Center are screened for COVID-19 symptoms, separated and monitored for 7 days before joining the general population, the sheriff's office said. The number of inmates at Lafayette Parish Correctional Center on Monday was 583, a 16% drop since February 20th, according to the sheriff's office. If we get something that takes off inside a jail, we've got a huge problem as a community, and I'm very, very concerned, Garber said on Monday. That's the end of that article, written by Ben Myers of the Acadiana Morning Advocate. Here's a good one. This is a little lighthearted, something everybody can do to help those people in their neighborhood. Neighbors are putting teddy bears in windows to create bear hunts for kids amidst the coronavirus. This is by Claire Taylor. Children in one Lafayette neighborhood, maps and binoculars in hands, are having a safari this week in search of teddy bears. It's an extension of something that's occurring in other places, including in London, to keep children entertained while they're out of school and sticking close to home because of the coronavirus, placing teddy bears in street-facing windows so children can hunt for them while on walks and bicycle rides through their neighborhood. The idea may be based on a book called We're Going on a Bear Hunt by Michael Rosen and Helen Oxenberry. Here in Lafayette, parents and residents got together in a neighborhood Facebook page over the past week or two to spread the word, and teddy bears began appearing in windows. Myrtle Place resident Jackie Russo has 3 bears in her window, says she first observed it late last week. People are putting teddy bears in windows, flower beds, along fence lines, she said, and posting their addresses on the neighborhood so people posting their addresses on the neighborhood Facebook page so that people can map a route and kids can take their kids walking on a bear hunt. And the children are serious about it, Russo said, taking paper and pens and mapping routes. Some even bring binoculars to help them hunt the cuddly creatures. I love it, Russo said. It's a great way for neighbors to help out. In the late morning, when parents in her neighborhood walk their children to school to pick up lunch, they're hunting for teddy bears, Russo said. In the afternoons, children can be seen making drawings of teddy bears and uplifting phrases on driveways and sidewalks, she said. Some parents are even hanging lines in their front yard to display their children's drawings of teddy bears. One Oaklawn resident posted Monday afternoon how proud she is to live in her neighborhood. Her daughter spotted 50 bears on their walk on Monday. If you don't live in Oaklawn, Myrtle Place, or the Saint Street area, you can either start something similar in your neighborhood or visit Colonial Drive and the Saint Streets where Russo said the bears are plentiful. Bears aren't the only thing adding cheers to homes to the lives in Lafayette Parish. In the Sawgrass Park neighborhood in South Lafayette Parish, rainbows are showing up all over the place, even when there hasn't been a rain shower. Mary LeBlanc, who has 2 young children and another on the way, learned about the rainbows from her sister-in-law who lives in New Orleans and posted in the neighborhood Facebook page. Word spread last weekend, and children took out their crayons and markers to create beautiful rainbows they put in street-facing windows for a giant neighborhood I Spy game. Children who were spreading rainbows outside and drawing them in chalk on sidewalks and driveways. Some of the neighbors are posting their addresses on Facebook page, inviting kids to stop by their street. Parents like LeBlanc and her husband, who are working from home during the coronavirus vacation, are taking family walks and bike rides to search out the rainbows. It's cheerful, LeBlanc said. It's something to look forward to. It doesn't need to. Who doesn't need a little cheer in these particular trying times? That's the end of that article. Again, written by the prolific Claire Taylor. Next article, we're going to talk about Lafayette Parish. This is as of last night. I think it might have changed already this morning. The Louisiana coronavirus deaths double in 3 days. Cases climbed to 1,388 and 12 are in Lafayette Parish. Claire Taylor again. The number of people in Louisiana who succumbed to the novel coronavirus more than doubled since Sunday, from 20 to 46 on Tuesday. Louisiana also saw another bump in the number of coronavirus cases overnight, from 1,172 to 1,388, a jump of 216 people, according to the noon report from the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospital. Positive cases in Lafayette Parish totaled 12, up from 9 on Monday. Elsewhere in Acadiana, 12 positive coronavirus cases are reported on Tuesday, including the first case in St. Martin Parish. St. Landry Parish has 3 positive cases, while Evangeline, Iberia, and Acadiana and St. Mary have 2 each. Louisiana reported its first case of coronavirus on March 9th, with the first death reported on March 14th in Orleans Parish. Acadiana's first 2 cases reported March 18th in Lafayette Parish. Nearly 1,000 people have visited the coronavirus screening and testing site in the KG Dome since it's opened on March 18th. 447 of them were tested for coronavirus. There is a lag of 7 days or longer for the test to be processed and cases to be reported. Here's one. Coronavirus cases grew faster in Louisiana than anywhere else in the world, a UL study. This is written by Adam Daigle, here again from the Morning Advocate. That's bad news, folks. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in Louisiana grew faster in the first 14 days than anywhere else in the world, data shows. The state's number of COVID-19 cases grew 67.8% in the first 2 weeks after the initial diagnosis on March 9th, a figure that outpaced New York, which saw its cases grew by 66.1% after getting its first diagnosis, according to data compiled by Gary Wagner, Acadiana business economist at UL. The rate of growth in Louisiana is also similar to Italy and Spain, where the number of cases after 100 positive tests. Governor John Bell Edwards issued a statewide stay-at-home order until April 12th in that attempt to slow the spread of the virus. I would say that Louisiana is not on, and is still not on a very good trajectory compared to other countries in the world who have been exposed to the virus longer than we have, Wagner said. What a lot of people are worried about, and you can see this happen in Italy, you have this huge growth in cases and you have a huge percentage of people diagnosed that require hospitalization. You can quickly overwhelm the ability to provide health care services. In 2 weeks, Louisiana went from 0 to 837 confirmed cases and 20 deaths in 36 of its 64 parishes. Most of the cases reported in the New Orleans area, and New Orleans Parish reported 106.9 confirmed cases per 100,000 residents, a mark that is fifth highest among counties in the country, highest in counties behind New York County and Westchester County in New York. As of Tuesday afternoon, Louisiana has 1,388 positive cases and 46 deaths, the Louisiana Department of Health data shows. Louisiana's rate compared to Italy does not mean that the state was hit the worst by the virus, Wagner noted. Italy, which data shows 1,128 cases after 2 weeks, had its number of cases explode after that to almost 70,000 on Tuesday. New York, which reported its first case before Louisiana, also has 26,000 cases. The fact that Louisiana and New York are up there regardless of testing tells us something. We are not and we are not the worst place on earth for coronavirus. We're certainly in a trajectory where it could be one of the worst places on earth. These cases have been growing so fast in the different areas of the world, if you pause too long, it becomes difficult to catch up. One of Louisiana's 1,388 confirmed coronavirus patients, about 20% of them are currently hospitalized, according to LDH, that's the Louisiana Department of Health data. Of those patients, 271 are hospitalized, with 94 of them requiring ventilators. President Trump announced Tuesday he would like the country to get back to normal by Easter, despite the number of cases, and including Louisiana having stay-in-place orders and other shutdowns to curb the number of positive cases. The number of cases in Louisiana will continue to rise in the short term, Wagner noted, and Easter may not be possible if the number of cases continues to rise. I have a hard time seeing how that's true, considering that no state has ever been successful in slowing down the growth rate of cases, he said. I think you can start returning to normal when growth in those cases starts to slow down, but that's not the case. People need to keep following social distance rules, and hopefully in 7 to 10 days we'll start to see a slowdown in the growth rate of new diseases. And that was written by Adam Daigle, again from the Morning Advocate. All right, here's one a little happier note. We're going through 3 Louisiana American Idol singers advance to this series solo round. This is written by Judy Bergeron, staff writer. In a night of triumph and tears for Louisiana's 3 American Idol contestants on Sunday's episode, although Javon Webb, Faith Becknell, and Robert Taylor III all advanced to the next phase of the competition, solo night rounds, which start Monday night, Taylor of Donaldsonville lost his roommate and duet mate, who the judges sent home after their duet performance. In a first for Idol, the traditional group rounds where 3 or 4 contestants collaborate on a song were skipped this season. We're from Louisiana and we got soul from our head to our feet, Becknell of Destrehan, but now living in New Orleans, said before she and Webb, calling her duo Sold Out, gave their soul-stirring rendition of This Is a Man's World, popularized and co-written by James Brown. Me and Javon just immediately clicked once we met, Becknell said, and we can rely on each other. I love her personality the way she is. That's hard to find, Webb, a Gonzales native now living in Baton Rouge, said. This combination together and you all have it got down, Judge said Lionel Richie. It's your song, it's your feeling, it's your power. It was a great collaboration which made the duet absolutely powerful. Both of you are going through. Congratulations. Meanwhile, Taylor had to look no farther than across the hotel room to find his singing partner, Tito Ray of Los Angeles. They called their duo Soul Libre. Ray was born and raised in Chile and is a bilingual pop and rhythm and blues singer and songwriter. We met and it was like my twin. I've never met anyone like this, Ray said. I just like together we can do this to blow people's minds, Taylor said. The duo of the two made idol history the first time the gay male singers have sung a love song to each other. Ray sat next to Taylor at the keyboards, and as they gave a run-filled rendition of Say So by New Orleans piano musician P.J. Morton featuring JoJo. To watch the performance, you can click here. Obviously, you can't do that. What we have just witnessed was vocal gymnastics Richie began when the song ended. I don't know how to judge it because it was too acrobatic. It was a chance for us to know that you all personality can hit every possible note there is in the universe. I must tell you that for your duet, I think it was not the greatest. The audience gasped. Tito, we love you, but you're not going to make it to the next round. Robert, you're going to go forward, Richie said. It breaks my heart because we're really pulling for you guys. It's not often you meet someone who understands you like that, a distraught Taylor said, tears rolling down his face as he told Ray goodbye. I'm pulling for you, man, Ray whispered. The trio of Louisiana singers will be featured on American Idol Returns on 7 p.m. Monday on ABC, and local singer stations will be preempting regular programming at that time for the governor's statewide COVID-19 roundtable. Those stations are expected to rejoin American Idol in progress. I'm sure we'll be able to catch those guys in the reruns. Then we're almost out of the news. It's a thin paper, as you can imagine. Just as a sidebar, it's not reported in today's paper, but the Advocates had to lay off large portions of its staff and cut the remaining staff to cut down to 32 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week. Kind of a blow to the whole news industry and the sharing of information here in our dear Acadiana. I think this might be our last article before we move along to the horoscopes. Let's go with this. A major disaster declaration to fight Louisiana's coronavirus okayed by President Trump. President Donald Trump issued a major disaster declaration for Louisiana Tuesday night, approving an urgent plea for national aid from Governor John Bel Edwards as the state battles the growing coronavirus outbreak. Louisiana, just the fourth state to receive the disaster designation, a move that unlocked millions in federal disaster funding and could steer additional resources towards the healthcare system in the state that Edwards warned may be just 11 days away from being overwhelmed with serious coronavirus cases. Edwards had requested the declaration Monday night, sending a letter to the president with that the epidemic has, quote, overwhelmed the capacities of the state and local resources, unquote. The governor filed the request just as a statewide stay-at-home order for Louisiana's 4.6 million residents went into effect. State officials and health officials have been scrambling to assemble enough protective gear for medical workers to add hospital beds and secure desperately needed medical equipment like ventilators. Trump, who previously declared major disasters in New York, California, and Washington, other states have seen particularly large outbreaks. Louisiana has seen the third most coronavirus cases per capita in the United States, according to Edwards. The number of known coronavirus cases in the state reached nearly 1,400 on Tuesday and has claimed at least 46 lives so far. We have taken aggressive mitigation measures to flatten our curve, and this is a major disaster declaration will help us further combat COVID-19 in Louisiana, the governor wrote Monday night in response to the news. The declaration means the federal government will reimburse the state and local governments for the mounting costs to respond to the coronavirus epidemic. Jay Darden, Louisiana's Commissioner of Administration, said public agencies have spent more than $71 million so far. Those costs come as public officials at all levels brace for sharp expected drops in tax revenue amidst the economic shutdown and the plunging oil prices. Local leaders like New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell had warned that the layoffs and deep cuts might be necessary without federal help. Staff at South Louisiana hospitals have described alarming shortages of basic protective equipment like masks in interviews with the Times-Picayune and the Advocate in recent days. Newly released data from Louisiana Department of Health showed intensive care units in New Orleans area were already filling despite the expected peak of the epidemic is still days or even weeks away. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana took to Twitter Tuesday night to thank Trump for sending vital resources to help Louisiana recover from the deadly epidemic. We will protect lives in our great state, Kennedy wrote. That's the end of that article, and I will not editorialize about John Kennedy. And that is quite literally all of the news. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on your horoscope, and there are no funerals or obituaries in today. Well, there are obituaries, but no Lafayette obituaries, and no funerals listed in today's paper. In the zodiac, and I hope you have a good one here today, folks. Aries, you'll get further if you are kind. Someone may irritate you, but if you respond with a positive attitude and sound suggestions, you will avoid a senseless argument. Taurus, make calls, do research, and close some deals. Don't rely on someone else to take care of your affairs. If you want to change, make it happen. Take responsibility for your life and happiness. Gemini, refuse to give in to someone pressuring you. Avoid being taken for granted, and don't let frustration and anger mount because you are trying to accommodate everyone. Cancer, your memory won't let you down. The lessons of experience coupled with unique approach to getting things done will help you excel. A romantic gesture will brighten your day. Leo, don't limit what you can do by taking on responsibilities that don't belong to you. Choose how you wish to spend your time and use your talents carefully and learn from experience. Those Virgos, last minute change of plans will lead to an unexpected gain. Join forces with someone who has much to offer as you, and don't ignore professional opportunities. Libra, use your imagination, fine-tune your ideas, and make you move. Think big. Don't go over budget. Be willing to bargain for what you want. Scorpios, an attitude adjustment will give you the boost you need. Someone who wants to team up with you will point out a talent or skill you didn't realize you possess. Sagittarius, be aware of false advertising. Not everyone will be honest or honor their promises. Stick close to home and to the people you know you can trust. Capricorns, don't act on an assumption or you will end up paying the price. If you connect with people who share your mindset, you'll be able to bring about change that will make a difference. Aquarius, dig up an old project and give it a facelift. Approaching an old idea with a fresh attitude will lead to a prosperous venture. Someone who falls out your age range will provide some insight. In Pisces, acceptance will be the key to getting ahead. Size of what's going on around you and use whatever you can to take your advantage. It's time for you to take the lead. And that's the end of the horoscopes. That's pretty much all the news, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to make this thing last an hour. It's supposed to last an hour. I don't think I read too fast, but I read everything that's relevant except the commercials. If you happen to be listening, this is AOC Community Media's public service of reading for those of you who don't have the time or space or capacity or ability to read it for yourself. We're working in partnership with the Morning Advocate, or the Acadiana Advocate as it's called now. You can find more information at AOC's website. That's aocinc.org. We're providing a means for teachers to share information, to do some distance learning, and there's still opportunities for you to do podcasting and so forth from home. We hope to help you with all your communication needs. I think we're about to wrap it up. This has been Ed, March 25th. Let's go forth and have a great day. Make use of what you've got at your hand, and spread a little love, folks. It wouldn't hurt anybody. The end.